وجيزت عدته في زمان بمساعدة الدكتور نظام الدين بن زكريا وصديقته. في هذا البعث ينقسم إلى 3 أبواب. الباب الأول التعريف يأجوج ومأجوج. الباب الثاني الأصل يأجوج ومأجوج. الباب الثالث خصائص والجسمانية يأجوج والمأجوج. الباب الرابع التنبيهات وعلامات الظهور يأجوج والمأجوج. الباب الخامس وجهات النظر المعاصرة. الباب السادس الخاتمة. تعريف يأجوج and مأجوج. Firstly, in the Islamic perspective, Ya'juj and Ma'juj, Gog and Magog in Hebrew tradition refer to a people or nation. They are referred to in the Quran and Hadith as a people who will appear in the end times and are known for being a powerful people who destroy crops and devastate civilizations which they invade. It was just that Ya'juj and Ma'juj will emerge from their place by the permissions of Allah, and it was one of the major signs before the day of judgment. Aslu Ya'juj wal Ma'juj. Stories in the Quran, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are also mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf and Surah Al-Anbiya as repressive tribes who terrorized neighboring nations. They were held up by a strong king known as Zulkarnain. Allah has told them about an iron wall he set up between the mountain Nerepas to keep them isolated from human society by using a mixture of molten copper and blocks of iron until the day resurrection when this obstruction collapses. In Hadith, when the wall collapses, Ya'juj and Ma'juj will invade the world, destroy everything that comes their way. They can only be defended by Allah, who caused their death and clean the earth from their bodies and the foul smell they leave behind the rain.
The third one is Al-Khasaisu wal-Jusmaniyatu li-Ya'juja wa Ma'juja. The first one, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are descendants of Prophet Adam from the son of Prophet Noah alayhi salam, who had 3 children, namely Sam, Ham, and Yafis. Then the sons of Yafis were named Mada, Yunan, Ma'juj, Tubal, Mis, and Tiran. So, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are from the descendants of Yafis. The second one is Ahmad ibn Hanbali through his Musnad mentions a story from his auntie Ibn Harmalah that the Ya'juj and Ma'juj is described as having narrow eyes, a crooked nose, a broad forehead, blonde hair, and a face that looks like a shy covered with leather, with features of red skins and a white face that resembles a shy. The third one is in a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which means narrated to us Muhammad bin Bashrin, narrated to us Muhammad bin Amru, narrated to us Khalid bin Amru on the authority of Ibn Harmalah, on the authority of his auntie, who said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam preached while straightening his finger because he was stung by scorpion. He said, indeed you say there is no enemy, and in fact you will always fight with the enemy until God and Magog appear. Their faces are wide, their eyes are narrow, their crease of hair are white. They come down from high place, their faces are like forged shields, thick and hard. 4. Told in Al-Drisi's own book entitled Nuzak al-Mushtaq fi Ikhtira' al-Afaq, page 934 to 938. So, one night the Caliph Al-Wazir Billah had a dream in his sleep. In that dream, he saw the fortress of Ya'juj and Ma'juj was destroyed. He sent Salam Tajurman, a traveler of Turkish origin, to the area and asked the people around the mountains there, have they ever seen the people behind the fort? Some say they have seen a mob of people on top of covering wall. Then a strong stone blew them and fell into the wall again. They saw people with blue eyes, blue skins, reddish hair, and their size was a very short, as tall as a palm tree. The fourth title is At-Tanabu'atu wa Alamatu Zuhuri Ya'juj wa Ma'juj. The first one is Among the first major doomsday signs that occur before the coming of Ya'juj and Ma'juj is Al-Dukhan. The second one is the descent of the Dajjal. The third one is the appearance of an animal named Ad-Dabah. The fourth one is the rising of the sun from the west. The fifth is the descent of the Prophet Jesus. The sixth, the appearance of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Second, after the Dajjal was defeated, humans at that time lived in a state of prosperity, calm and peace, until the Ya'juj and Ma'juj appeared. At that time, Jesus was still alive. Then God ordered Prophet Jesus to save his servants, who believed with him, to go to the mountain At-Tur. Jesus did God's command, then appeared Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Number 3. In a hadith of Rasulullah SAW, which means, such is their situation until when the wall that blocks the Gog and Magog is opened, and they rush down from every high place, and the promise of the true day of judgment is near, then immediately the eyes of disbeliever disobey wide-eyed, while saying anxiously, "Woe to us! Indeed, we have lived in a state that neglects us from thinking about his matter, even we have become people who persecute ourselves." 4. In the hadith narrated by Imam Muslim, it is told at length about Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Among the meanings, Allah revealed the Prophet Isa a.s., "I will bring out my servants who will not be defeated by anyone. Because of that, save my pious servants to the hill." Then Allah Ta'ala resurrected Ya'juj and Ma'juj. They came down from a high place. The first wave passed Lake Tabari and then drank all the water from the well. Then the rest of his group passed. They said, "Indeed, there used to be water here." This shows how big their group is.
Contemporary views. How are Ya'juj and Ma'juj interpreted in the modern context, for example, a symbol of issues like war, poverty, and social injustice? In Islam, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are two nations mentioned in the Quran as major signs before the Day of Judgment. They are described as a destructive force, causing great corruption on earth at the end of time. This is explained in Surah Al-Kahfi, where the Prophet Zulkarnain builds a wall to prevent them from causing future destruction. The word states, "They said, O Zulkarnain, indeed, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are causing corruption on the earth. So, may we pay you to make between us and them a barrier?" Additionally, in Surah Al-Anbiya, the Quran mentions that the release of Ya'juj and Ma'juj will signal the jaws of the end of times. The first point is modern symbolic interpretation. Now, in modern interpretations, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are often viewed symbolically, representing various global threats facing the world today. These threats include war, poverty, social injustice, and the collapse of morality. First, war and conflict. Ya'juj and Ma'juj can be seen as symbols of the large-scale wars that could bring global destruction, such as world wars, nuclear wars, or ideological conflict. This type of wars threaten to destabilize the world order. Second, poverty and social injustice. They are also viewed as symbols of economic inequality and resource exploitation, leading to widespread poverty and injustice. The economic gap between rich and poor nations, as well as the oppression that drive social inequalities, can be seen as the work of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Then, moral and ethical decay. Another interpretation sees Ya'juj and Ma'juj as representing the moral and ethical decline in society, such as corruption, violence, and social division that destroy harmony in the world. The second point is contemporary views and analysis. Prominent scholars like Fazlur Rahman interpret Ya'juj and Ma'juj as symbol of the social and political chaos in the modern world, urging Muslims to prepare for the destruction of the world. Hamka also interprets them as a threat to the moral and social fabric of humanity, warning of societal fragmentation. The third point is criticism of modern interpretation. However, there are critics of this symbolic interpretation. Some scholars argue that Ya'juj and Ma'juj should be understood literally, as physical beings based on the text of the Quran and Hadith. For example, in Surah Al-Kahfi, the Quran speaks about the wall built by Zulkarnain to block them, indicating their physical presence. There is also a hadith that mentions how Ya'juj and Ma'juj will drink from dry lands and seas during their appearance at the end of time, from Sahih Muslim. In conclusion, it is important to balance both classical and modern interpretation of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Classical interpretation helps strengthen our belief in the end of time, while modern interpretation offers insight into current global issues such as social injustice and environmental destruction. By combining both perspectives, we can understand the Quran message from holistically, linking religious teachings with the challenges of today's world. Ultimately, Ya'juj and Ma'juj remind us that the action we take today, whether in relation to climate change, geopolitical tensions, or social injustice, will shape the future of humanity. Muslims must take responsibility for addressing this moral, social, and ecological damage, working toward a better world to avoid the devastation represented by Ya'juj and Ma'juj. The summary of this topic is Ya'juj and Ma'juj are entities mentioned in the Quran and Hadith as major signs of the Day of Judgment. In Surah Al-Kahfi, they are described as destructive nation, with Zulkarnain building a barrier to prevent their harm. Classical interpretation view them as physical beings, while modern interpretations associate them with global threats such as war, social injustice, and moral decay. In conclusion, the story of Ya'juj and Ma'juj not only reminds us of the event of the end times but also delivers an essential lesson about the moral, social, and global challenges we face today. As Muslims, this story urges us to improve ourselves, our communities, and the world by balancing religious teachings with modern-day challenges.